Hey, it's Joy. I finally got FSD Beta version 11 yesterday, and I've done a few drives so far, both on surface streets and also on the freeway. I want to give you my feedback and first impression and take you guys out on a drive so you can see what's going on. But there are things that I don't like with this update, and there are a few things that I do like about this update. So basically, version 11 is a long-awaited FSD Beta update that actually integrates both FSD Beta City full self-driving portion with the highway navigate on autopilot full self-driving portion onto the same software stack. I took it out on a drive, and Tesla needs to do better route planning, because there are a couple times already when the navigation says I need to turn left, but the car, for whatever reason, decided to change to the right lane, and then by the time he needed to get into the left turning lane, it couldn't get back to it because the traffic was building up, and then I had to disengage, or when I had to make a left and immediately to the right, the car didn't turn onto the right lane, it stayed on the left lane. So when the car had to turn right, again, all the LA traffic, all the cars were already lined up for right turning, and so the car couldn't get over. And even though the navigation says to turn right, somehow the car actually went to the left turning lane, and it was confused. So I think that this is route planning with the navigation map that Tesla needs to work on. I do not also like that now when I'm on the highway, on freeway, a lot of times now on my drive today and yesterday, the car would want to go into HOV lane, even though I had indicated on the setting, the navigation setting, in the setting, that I want you to avoid HOV lane. So I would have to disengage and to make sure that my car doesn't go into carpool lane and get a violation. So Tesla needs to fix that as well. Now, there are a few changes in this update that I think that you should know if you haven't gotten FSD Beta yet. So the first is that I noticed when you are enabling FSD Beta, now you have the TACC, Traffic Aware Cruise Control. You also have Auto Steer Beta. And if you turn that on, you have Navigate on Autopilot option. And then you have the full self-driving. With full self-driving Beta turned on, you no longer can set speed limit like an offset. Before, I had a speed limit offset at a fixed speed of 5 miles per hour above what the traffic sign says. But for some reason now, when I go into FSD Beta versus TACC or Auto Steer Beta, it only allows me to do percentage offset, and the fixed is no longer available. So I don't know if that's a bug. So hopefully Tesla can look into that. So that's the first change that I noticed. The second change is that now when you go into full self-driving FSD Beta, when you press the right scroll wheel, and if you click left or right before you set the following distance, it used to range from 2 to 7. They took that away with this update. Now, when you click on that right scroll wheel button to set the following distance, it's now assertive, average, or chill driving mode. So mine is actually set at assertive because I live in LA and people drive not very politely, I guess. So if you have a little opening and you need to change lane, if the car just keeps signaling, nobody's going to let you in, and you'll potentially miss your turn or your exit. So I have it set at assertive, so as soon as it detects a little gap, it'll go in there. So that's the another change that I've noticed. And then another change I've noticed is that you now have an option of setting minimal lane changes for the current drive. So if you are in assertive mode, I guess, and you don't want the car to change lanes too frequently, aka the previously known Mad Max mode, then you can enable that. So these are the things that I've noticed that has changed. Now, another change that I've noticed during the initial first few drives I've done on this update is that now when my car is changing lanes, especially on the freeway, I notice that it's speeding up a little bit more when you're changing lane, which is what you're supposed to do when you're driving your car. When you change lanes because you're going diagonally, you do need to speed up to keep up with the traffic in the other lane, and also to speed up to keep up with the flow of traffic. So I was really happy to notice this little change. But other than that, street driving portion, I am not too thrilled about so far. And also on the freeway, I noticed just now coming back from church that the car used to stay dead center, but now it will veer off closer to the left marking lane or to the right marking lane at different places, and I will be really close to the car next to me, and I will have to disengage. So that's something that Tesla needs to work out. Oh, one more change that I've noticed is, if you've been following my videos, I mentioned that a few updates ago, Tesla took away the feedback camera icon, meaning that whenever there's a scenario where FSD wasn't performing correctly, you could press on that little camera icon on the screen, and then it's going to take a snapshot and send it back to Tesla, and they can analyze it and better the algorithm. So they took that away for a few iterations, but they brought it back kind of, not in a sense of the camera icon, but now whenever you disengage FSD, there is going to be a little notice at the lower left-hand corner where you have your odometer, trip cards, tire pressure, and like your music card. That spot, whenever you disengage FSD, it's going to ask you why you disengaged, and you will press on the right scroll wheel button, just press it down and then release it, just like how you would do voice commands, and then you can record a short explanation on why you disengaged. The first few drives didn't go too well for me, so especially on the highway, on the freeway, just now the car would keep veering either to the left or to the right. It would not stay center, so I kept disengaging, kept recording, and I kind of got angry toward the end. Like, I was like, stay in the center, why don't you stay in the center? So forgive me, anyone working at Tesla, if you see this video. I apologize if I yelled at you. So anyway, these are the changes and my first impression on FSD Beta. And now let me take you on a quick drive, and we'll see what happens. Okay, there's a fire truck coming, and I don't think it's recognizing it. So it's kind of weird. Sometimes it does recognize emergency service vehicle, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, some people have asked me about that, and that's my answer. Sometimes it recognizes it, but it'll just give you a little indication. It doesn't slow down or anything. You do still have to pull over yourself. Yeah, so that was the case where it didn't recognize, but everybody else in front of me pretty much stopped, so it's fine. Anyway, I am actually heading out to get my tires rotated because it's time to do that, and I thought I'd take you out on this drive with me. So if you remember this place, this is like my new test route, and you see how this is not kind of staying in the lane. It tries to kind of stay in the middle, and then now it's just kind of sticking out. I guess Tesla hasn't fixed this yet since the v10.69. Whatever, the latest one that the last version that I was on. So it's also interesting to see how this is going to handle that challenging, weird intersection split coming up, which is an outlier case for FSD Beta city portion. And it's a beautiful, gorgeous, perfect 70-degree Saturday afternoon. So a lot of people are out and about. And this is a perfect time to test FSD. Another thing that I hope that Tesla will fix is that the gap between my car and the car stopped in front of me is just way too big. So this car is trying to come in, and so I have to press forward a little bit. So yeah, this is now it's even showing. See, it's trying to go over there. So now it says autopilot disengage. What happened? Car tried to go into a different lane instead of staying in the same lane. So it gives you, I think, about 10 seconds for you to do this little recording along with I guess the clip that they're uploading back to the mothership. So yeah, I hope that Tesla can make this gap distance, like this is like perfect. I don't know, it's probably like half of what it was before, or like a third of what it was before. But whatever it was, the gap between my car and the car stop in front of me, that was just way too wide, especially here in LA, in congested urban area. Another thing that I thought was cool is if it's stopping for traffic lights, it will put an indication up here now on the screen. Also, under autopilot, initially when I got updated to this v11.3.4, this lane change notification was off, and I decided to do vibrate as what I always did before V11, just so that I know if the car is trying to change lane on its own, I will get notified. And if the car is not supposed to be changing lanes, I can disengage it, I can cancel it right away. And so yeah, this is still confused. So see, the cars are coming in to that lane even though there's no marking. So I'm going to report back. Car not staying in its lane, trying to go to a different lane. So yeah, I don't think Tesla has fixed it, because now if you see, I don't know if on the screen you can see on camera that the blue routing is actually trying to like go over there, and my steering wheel just vibrated a little bit too. So yeah, it's still confused with this intersection. There's 3 lanes that can all turn, and this lane can also go to the right. So the car was kind of planning, is still trying to plan the blue routing to this lane, but then this car up front somehow was turning blue meaning that the car would try to go over there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens when the traffic light turns green, and we'll see how the car behaves. Okay, now we're going. And yeah, see, the car's still trying to go over there, which you don't have to. Car not staying in its own lane. Okay, yeah, so it doesn't look like this intersection has been fixed, but I will come back next week and do another full route back and forth, and then we'll see what happens. So I have to accelerate a little bit because it thought that this pedestrian, this woman who's getting to her car parked on the street, was gonna come over here. So let me increase the speed a little bit. And again, I'm on assertive mode, so this is pretty cool. Changing lanes to follow route. Now it's more prominent, telling you what the car is about to do. Okay, up here, I need to accelerate because it was slowing down.
Now turn right up to Jefferson Boulevard.
Normally, if I'm just driving manually, after I turn right, I will immediately go to the left because I need to get on the freeway. Like now it's not, so I do have to go because there's a car like right behind me. Car not changing lane fast enough to the correct left turning lane up ahead. Yeah, so the algorithm is still following the traffic rules to the T, which doesn't work here in congested area. Because then if I have more cars coming here and the car was gonna wait until the last second to finally switch from this lane to this lane, then to this lane, then getting onto the freeway, I wouldn't be able to, because I would have to go straight ahead and then find a place to make a U-turn and come back and just waste all that time. So this is where we're going to queue up to get on the freeway. And again, this gap is just too big because there are cars behind me and this needs to come in here more. We need all the space that we can here in LA to fit all the cars. Car not getting into lane, too much gap with car in front. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to think what kind of feedback I need to give to them. So yeah, but I do hope that this will get better and better and better. But I am happy that this is now finally single stack. And when I get on the freeway, I can just set it to the freeway speed without having to, like when you first get on the on-ramp, I would speed it up, but then it was still on the city FSD stack. And then after it hit like 75, all of a sudden it just slowed down to like 70 miles per hour. And I would think that I was doing phantom braking, but it was not, because it reverted back to the highway driving stack, and the default was like the default was 70 miles per hour, but now I don't have to worry about it. After I get on the on-ramp, I just increase it to like 75 or 80 miles per hour. It's just gonna stick. I don't have to worry about potential slowing down because of the stack changes between city FSD and freeway FSD.
Now turn left to take the Interstate 405 South ramp.
And again, huge gap. So I'm going to inch forward so more cars can fit in this turning lane. All right, here we go. to increase my speed to 75. And well, we're not going to hit 75 today because LA traffic. And I so wish that there's an LA mode that is even more assertive than the assertive mode, because like it's leaving a big huge gap between my car and that white Model 3 in front of me when I'm merging. Yeah, thankfully the car behind me on this lane, they're nice enough, because a lot of times people just like come around you and like, why don't you fill in the gap? And that potentially could cause accident. And another thing that I've noticed so far is that if I do like a manual lane change, actually not the manual lane change, auto lane change. So when the car is sensing that this other lane or whichever lane is traveling faster than my own lane, and it will try to go to the faster lane, it will signal. But before this stack, when it was on the old stack, it would just keep signaling, and it would just keep slowing down, even though there may be a good gap. If the car speeds up, it can cut over. But in this V11, I've noticed, like, just now it tried to go over, but then, you know, this car isn't letting me, right? And then now there's this other car that came over that the car would like stop signaling on its own. And so again, I could have gone, if I were driving manually, there was enough gap for me to accelerate and just go over, but it didn't. So again, that's why we need LA mode, because you see, it keeps signaling, trying to go over, but nobody's letting me over. And this is just ridiculous. Okay, now we have one that's driving much slower back here. So now I'm finally over. Yeah, so Tesla, please think of LA mode for your next update, because we need to survive out here. But yeah, it's good that it will not keep on signaling. It will actually turn off the signaling if it detects all the cars are just coming up, nobody's gonna let me through, and it will try again. And I also feel that the highway merging, when I was coming out from the on-ramp onto the traffic, into the traffic lane, is a lot smoother than the previous stack. So that's another thing that I like with the V11 update. See, now it's trying to get into the HOV lane, even though my setting says no. So car tried to get into HOV lane when I don't want it to, when I want the car to avoid it. Also, right now my car is sticking to the left of the lane instead of staying dead center. So like I said, that was like another concern. And I want to just show you very quickly my settings here. It does say not to use or use HOV lanes is not turned on. So that might have been a bug, because normally this would detect the diamond painting on the ground, but it's not showing up here. But in the previous V10 or the old highway stack, it would recognize the diamond shape in the HOV lane, but not here. So I think that is a bug that Tesla needs to fix. Yeah, the car is sticking to the left again instead of staying dead center. So I'm going to disengage. Car not staying in the center of lane, it's sticking to the left. Another thing that I like with V11 highway driving is that you see how all of a sudden all the traffic was like slowing down significantly in front of me? On V10, I would always have to be mindful of that. So that I would use the right squirrel wheel to increase the safe following distance, because I normally keep it at 2 or 3. I would have to increase it to 7, the maximum, so that the car would recognize the stopping traffic in front of me, and then it will slow down instead of waiting until the very last moment to try to slow down. But here in V11, it recognized that traffic was stopping in front of me abruptly, pretty much as I would, like when I would detect it with my human eyes, and it will start to slow down, and I don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I don't have enough distance to slow down because everybody's stopping in front of me. So that part, that improvement, I love, because it's a huge safety improvement. And another thing that I like about this version, oh, why did it go down to 55 miles per hour? Another thing that I love about this version is for the assertive profile. I haven't tried the average or the chill, but I know that before, when I need to get off the freeway, like 3 miles away, the car would start to make lane changes, and a lot of times I don't have to. Okay, why did you have to? Oh, changing lanes to avoid slower traffic. I don't know, and now it's coming back. So yeah, this part I don't get, why my car would change here and then come back out and then come back in. I don't get it. But anyway, with V10, okay, car just missed the exit. Lovely. So yeah, so here is a fail that the car should have just taken that off ramp, but instead it changed lane to the left and then came back. So don't know why. But anyway, what I love about this update versus V10 is before 3 miles out of the exit, the off ramp, the car would start to come over. But a lot of times the traffic just so slow, I could have just gone farther and then get ahead of the slow traffic and then get off the off ramp. And I noticed that in V11, it wouldn't start changing lanes until maybe like a mile and a half outside of the exit. So it works out much better for me to avoid the slower traffic. But of course, this time we missed the exit because the car was acting weird. It should have kept changing to the right lane, but for whatever reason it went to the left and came back to the right, and then didn't go to the right and then eventually get off like what we're doing now. So I missed the exit, and now the car is rerouting me.
Now turn left onto West 190th Street.
So as I mentioned, there are things that I like with V11, and there are things that I don't like with this update. Just like every other update, there's some regression, there's some progression, and the eventual goal is to make it better and better to deal with all sorts of different scenarios. All right, I am at the tire rotation place and I'm waiting for my car to be serviced. Thank you so much for coming along on this ride with me and experiencing FSD Beta V11.3.4 with me. Again, I hope that Tesla will iron out these bugs and continue to make full self-driving technology better. I will see you in the next video. God bless.